NEWS.MC on Monaco Info is brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties. Our exclusive interview with the personalities making the Principality.
My name is Sebastien Dameno. I'm the administrator of GCM Les Grand Chais Monegasques. So I was born in Monaco. I always lived here, and my family is here for many generations on my father's side, as my grandfather is fiscally Monegasque, which means he was born here before the law, the agreement between France and Monaco. His parents came here from Italy, but asked for the French nationality for some strange reason. That makes me French, born in Monaco, enfant du pays. I grew up with my grandfather's business. When I was born, he already had the wine cellar I'm working in today. With my sister, we grew up in this wine cellar. I remember I have some very vivid memories about this wine cellar because it was very noisy, very smelly. At the time, we were aging wine still. It was smelling the red wine everywhere. I think a bit like Obelix. I was born into it, you know. It played a big role in my childhood. It's a lot of passion, such an interesting world because you never stop to learn. Every day you learn new things. You meet some producers that share their passion for the product. And as it is an alive product, like cheese or bread, wine is very interesting, always changing, evolving. It's very, very pleasant to work in this world because every day you don't have time to be bored. You're always learning new things, always with passion, meeting very interesting people. So that's why my heart went more into this wine business than the real estate one. I didn't know I was going to do that, but I knew that from a young age I loved wine. I loved also very little to taste the wine in my father's glasses, to smell it. So the smell and the taste came very early. But what I wanted to do when I was young, I think, was more traveling the world, being an explorator, traveling the world, going to meet all the different cultures in the world. And I think that came from a philosophy teacher that I had when I was young, who told us something in French that's going to be hard for me to say in English. The real culture in life is to understand each and every culture in the world, have the key to unlock each and every culture to understand. When you open it, then you can see what's behind. It was very interesting, and it marked me when I was young because this teacher was amazing. You know, when you have a teacher when you're young and he's passionate about what he's doing and he transmits his passion. So that was it for me. And then I decided I wanted to travel the world. So I did travel when I was young. I'm not sure why I had this strong urge to go and meet a very different culture from Monaco. Maybe because I had a bit of the consciousness when I was young that Monaco is a kind of a bubble. So it's not as the world is everywhere. I felt it, and with this philosophy teacher opened my mind when I was young, and I wanted really to go discover indigenous culture. And it was such a great experience, sometimes shocking, sometimes hard. I went traveling alone with my backpack. So it was very like initiatic traveling. When I was young, I started to do some deliveries. Then it was a commercial, and I did some jobs also traveling the world. Then I came back to work as a commercial in the wine cellar 15 years ago, something like this. And at some point, I wanted to create my own companies. With this business, I opened with my wife. I got much more maturity with time, and now I think I was ready, beginning of this year, to come back to work with my grandfather. And this is what I did. When customers, high-end customers are entering the shop, usually if they want Petrus or Mouton Rothschild, bottles of Bordeaux like this, they know they can take 12 bottles, 24 bottles. This we have, this is no problem. Romanée Conti is another world, it's something different. We have one of the greatest stock in the region of Grand Cru of Bordeaux. We have more than 3,000 references. The space here is amazing. We actually opened, beginning of the year, a space where you can also taste the different bottles, taste by glass. It's a historical place, so it's very nice to come here, enjoy a nice glass of wine with a history around you. The barrels around are barrels from end of 1800s, and it's served to age wine on site by the family owning the place before my family. They were called Family Ginocchio, and the Ginocchios, they won a medal in Paris for the wine they were making in Monaco in these barrels. And we still have the original medal on site from 1909 from a Paris International Exhibition. And if you come to visit us, you will see on the ground at the back cave, the back wine cellar, we still have this iron metal ring on the ground, and because it was a stables, and the horses were parked there, and they were then delivering the wine through Monaco. So it's a very historical place with one of the greatest stock in the region. I think it's something very organic. We can feel the person in front of us if he talks with a lot of passion into his word, if the words are widely chosen. For example, we have our sommelier. We just took back a sommelier. We were working with him 15 years ago. He's Argentinian. He's called Emiliano, and he's delivering the W set, which is one of the greatest diploma you can have in wine, the most recognized one. He gives some courses all around the world. He's working with Bordeaux Wine School, and he's going to be the first Argentinian person who's going to have the Master of Wine. So he's one of the greatest sommelier I know. When he talks about wine, he talks it very like in an easy way that everybody can understand. So this is one part of it. You don't have to pretend and take some big words and starting to impress everybody. And it's very simple. And actually he's adapting to each and every one in front. But when we have a producer coming, a vigneron coming to the wine cellar, then he talks with him. And then I say, yeah, I still have a lot to learn. That's very humbling because the wine world is amazingly technical. And it's super interesting because, you know, after one lifetime, you still have a lot to learn. We have a great collection of whiskey, growing collection of rum also, Armagnac, Cognac. Armagnac are really nice because you can have the date of birth when you want to make a gift. So you can have 1970, 1960, or the 1960s, 70s, even 50s. We can. It's very interesting in Armagnac. I would say now the two sectors that are really growing fast is tequila and gin. We also have a gin from Monaco called the Explorer, and they were paying a tribute to Prince Albert I, that was exploring the world with many boats. The logo is Prince Albert I. It's very nice gin. And we have a lot of people coming for this gin to our wine cellar, which is great because I think they did a really great job. I was a big fan of Albert I when I discovered his history in Oceanographic Museum. I actually was working in Musée Oceanographique when I was young, so I had time to read the books there and everything. And I think he was a great explorator and a great visionary to protect the oceans at the time, which was not in a lot of people's mind at the time. Prince Albert II is doing a great job by continuing also this work. It gave me a little bit inspiration to go abroad also and explore the world a little bit. For the greatest name as Domaine Romanée Conti, it's very hard to get more than a few bottles a year. And also you have to buy all the other ones from their domain, Latache, Échezeaux, Grand Échezeaux, Richebourg. You have to buy the whole pack, and you've got one in each 12-bottle box. You've got one Domaine de la Romanée Conti. At the time, I remember when I was young, we were buying wine primeur. So before the wine was made, you were buying the wine and then you were making good margins because you were giving them the money before they were producing the wine. And you were maybe gaining 20, 30% more on top on the price when it was entering the market. Nowadays, if you do 5%, you're really lucky. And sometimes you even lose money and you give them the money like many years before the wine is on the market. So Bordeaux is becoming harder and it's a different way to buy now. From this fact of that the primeur is getting harder, the old millésime are getting harder to find also. It's not that it's simple, but sometimes, for example, let's take Burgundy. Burgundy as a region, you know what it's going to be. But sometimes you take an appellation that's less famous, but with a great producer. And he's working with indigenous yeast, respecting the moon calendar. A lot of them are actually doing that without saying it, really. The product at the end is completely wonderful. And the price is maybe 2 times or 3 times less than a big appellation. But the work in it is so special that it makes it a great wine for a very great price. When we find this kind of producers, we're very proud of it because the work also of this producer is going to be respected and is going to be more famous. Yeah, I have to say I really love Argentinian wines. I really like what they did with Malbec, because Malbec is, we don't really know that, but originally it's from France in Cahors. But Cahors was a region where the Malbec was a bit strong and close wine. And in Argentinian, they realized they could do something different with their climate, and they did it really well. And the Malbec expresses itself very well in Argentina. But I'm a very big fan of France. I have to say, like, I think 90% of the time I drink French wine. So when I was young, I was Bordeaux, because it was my first love was Bordeaux. And then it turned to be Burgundy more. The tannin are a bit softer, it's a bit thinner, sometimes a bit more precise with a bit less power into it. Now, I'm really surprised because for, I think 6 months, I'm back to Bordeaux. 6 months ago, for the New Year's Eve, with a very old friend of mine. I hadn't seen him for many years, and he was coming back here in Monaco. He's now living in Asia. He took 3 bottles actually out of his cellar, and they were Mouton Rothschild 2000. And he said, which one you want to drink? Because I know you know your wine. And I'm like, okay, so Mouton Rothschild 2000 for now, I think it's perfect. He's 26 years old, and we opened the bottle, and it was brilliant at its peak. Although I think it's a question of moment, because I was with a very good friend and good friends around, but one of my childhood friends, we were chill, we were discussing, and we opened this bottle at this time. It was perfect moment. And this gave me such an emotion. It remembered me how great wines from Bordeaux could be. And since when I've been drinking Bordeaux a lot, you have to wait the right amount of time to consume it for it to be at its peak. Burgundy is a bit easier because already 3-4 years are already good to drink. But yeah, I'm back to Bordeaux now. A lot of regions like this in France are changing also, which is really interesting, like Côte de Provence here. 15 years ago, only a few ones were good rosé. Nowadays, with the new technological barriques they have something to cool down the wine very quickly when it turns to red, because you know it's a fermentation on the process to be a red wine, and they stop it to make a rosé. And nowadays, with the technology, it's becoming better and better. So the Côte de Provence every year is a bit better than the year before for me. So there's a lot of regions like this in France that are getting better. So it's the case of Cahors. And yeah, I think the wine, when you take the vines and take it in another country, is going to make something completely different, because the association of the climate with the vine and the work of the vigneron is going to make always a different symphony. So it's very interesting because never 2 times the same thing exactly. So it's also the same with the regions, yeah. So nowadays, what's really interesting is our societies in Western civilization are consuming less and less alcohol in general. This is a new way of consuming. For now, everything I tasted on Nolo, I didn't like it at all. I think, for example, you know, the beers on no alcohol, it's well made. You drink a beer, it's almost a beer. But the wine, it's something different. It's a great place for culture of wine. What's super interesting is that we have many nationalities here, and the different nationalities drink different wines. But mainly in Monaco, they love great wines, of course, but they also love to be surprised, because many of them have tried everything. And our job is to find new wine that are rising, starting to becoming famous, but not too much. And to make them discover this kind of bottles is very interesting for us. This is our job, and this is where we play a big part also, because it takes a lot of time to encounter all the producers, select the great ones, and this is where our value is also.
That's all for today. Thank you for watching NEWS.MC, your English rendezvous on Monaco Info. Discover more interviews and stories on our websites, NEWS.MC and MonacoInfo.com. This show was brought to you by Monaco Legend Properties.